Hello, children, and welcome to another borderline hideous episode of our show, Long Tracks and Tall Tales. You have the extreme misfortune to have made so many bad choices in your life that you've ended up here.
That's right.
On the number 62 Prog Rock channel on YouTube. I am Scott G. Davis, your host. It's a pleasure to be here with you all today. We have so much to get to. We're just going to dive right in. My co-host, as always, Mistopher Christopher M. Clark, drummer of Myth of Logic. Chris, how are we today?
We are fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. And we've got so much to get to. First off, I got a couple quick news notes. Atop of the list is the news that's coming out that Rush are considering a residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas. That is a big time
Yes, it is.
Piece of news and something to sort of keep orbiting in the back of our minds somewhere. How do you feel about this, Chris?
As we just briefly talked about before we started recording, I feel I first of all, I love it. I absolutely love it. I am wary of the fact it will probably be gargantuanly expensive to try to go to, but I will do my damnedest if they are at the Sphere. I will do my damnedest to try to at least go and see them once at the Sphere. I've heard that place is absolutely astounding, and so for me, you know, given that you have to spend a lot of money if you go there to a show there, it would have to be something like Rush that would get me there, and if they are, that would be what would draw me there. So, I don't want to spend $20,000 or $30,000 to go see him. That's ridiculous. But if I can make it work where it's reasonable to do, even borderline reasonable, I will do it.
I have to agree with you. It's something that, you know, that's one of those fuck it
right
moments. It really truly is.
I mean, they're already badass, and then you put them in that Sphere. Can you imagine all the stuff around them while they're playing? I mean, I just can't even. It would be something I'd have to go see. I'd have to go see it. I'd just have to.
Well, so, and it's kind of, they're the sort of band that have been living in in-ear monitoring for a long time now, and that really seems to be one of the hurdles for bands going in there. They're not used to the intricacies of monitoring strictly in your ears with no exterior amplification whatsoever. So I think they would probably find it eminently comfortable. Unfortunately, it kind of leaves our friend Howard Ungerleider out in the dark, so to speak. I don't know how much lighting there is there. I'm pretty sure minimal.
I'm pretty sure it's all in house.
Yeah. Well, and it's got to be minimal because the whole place is one big video screen.
Yeah, well, humongous. So yeah, I don't know the intricacies. Intricacies. Use your word. I do not know the intricacies of it, but I do know that it, as you saw, and I saw on Facebook, it's being discussed. I'm very excited for the potential of that. So we'll see where that goes from there.
Well, we've been away for a while, so I've got a bunch. I'm just going to touch on some news bits. Big Train announced Woodcut Digital Deluxe Edition featuring demos and 2 acoustic live tracks.
Yeah.
Pure Reason Revolution announced a new studio album, Terrifying Angels.
Oh, that'll be fantastic.
That should be a good one. Rick Wakeman announced his new album, Return to the Red Planet. That's on my list. Mastodon officially announced new album, Marrow Deep.
Okay.
John Mitchell, my choice to replace Steve Howe if he ever steps down, announces final Lonely Robot album.
Yes,
an ending.
Mm-hmm.
I love me some John Mitchell, and I particularly have fondness for Lonely Robot.
I love Lonely Robot.
There's a texture about that project that's really different.
I'm really sad, but I understand why he's ending it. His iron is in about 55,000 different fires, but that's sad that it's ending though, because that is a really good project.
Yeah. And speaking of which, Asia John's main job these days, announced a new studio album, Indigo, and the first single, The Traveler, Into the Light, which is awesome.
Yes, I've listened to it. I think it's great.
Yeah, I can't wait for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be
And I think that kind of brings us back to the present as far as prog news for the most part. So, friends, if you follow along with us, you know that for a while now, Chris has been looking forward to the opportunity to see Rush. He
Mhm.
was the last time we spoke, he was going to go and see them June the 30th in Fort Worth, Texas. And at that point, I'm going to let Chris take up the story. Tell us the whole sordid tale,
All
Chris.
right. Well, I live in Odessa, Texas, which is far away from everything in Texas, including Dallas and Fort Worth. And so I had it in my head, you know what? I have a friend that lives there. He's going with me to the show. I'm going to fly. So I spent all of my money and my points getting a ticket to fly out to Fort Worth, flew there, got there. My buddy Ryan gets with me and we're ready to go all day long. We've been watching FIFA soccer and just enjoying each other's company. We hadn't seen each other in a while, talking about, oh, I can't wait. I can't believe we're going to see Rush. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. It's so awesome. We go down and eat at Terry Black's Barbecue downtown Fort Worth, not 2 miles from the venue. We get ready. We're going to a bar. We get in the bar, and this guy over here texts me and says, I'm so sorry to hear about your postponement. This is 30 minutes before he and I are going to the venue. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And, I know you would well enough to know, Scott, that you wouldn't joke about that. And yet my initial thought was, oh, he's got to be joking about this.
Right,
They'd
right.
already had one cancellation or reschedule. And sure enough, I go, okay, what is he talking about? And I hit my Facebook, which I had not been watching, and it is everywhere. They had postponed the show because of Getty's bronchitis and laryngitis. So I spent the whole rest of that night being utterly devastated, trying to figure out what we were going to do, because they had moved our show, to a Saturday, the 11th. And then the first makeup show, which was the first one that they had canceled, was going to be Monday, July the 13th. Well, I couldn't make my show on the 11th because I was already scheduled to be out of town at a river that weekend. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? And so my wife and Ryan and I all started talking, and we decided, let's refund the tickets from the for the makeup date on the 11th, because I can't go to the 11th, and let's buy tickets for the 13th. And so, by miracle of miracles, I'm guessing the 13th had a hard time being sold because there were so many people that couldn't make that date on a Monday. So we refund our tickets for the 11th, and we start looking, and there are 2 seats perfectly placed. If I'm sitting here, they were up on the lower bowl in the second row, right by the stage. I mean, right, you can see them perfectly. I have some pictures. I'll send them to you, Scott, so you can see where we were sitting. We got them for the exact same price that we had got the other seats, and they were actually way better than the other seats. So it ended up working out really well, because my wife agreed, well, let's just drive from the river up to Fort Worth and make a couple of days stay out of it, and then you can go to the concert. So we ended up doing that, and it ended up being marvelous after a whirling dervish of BS to get there. So I did attend the show on the Monday, July the 13th, this past Monday. And let me tell you something. I don't know if you have questions about it, but I'm telling you, apart from the fact that they didn't play Bytor and the Snow Dog as part of the encore, which I really wanted to hear, apart from that little fact.
Well, you got a unique set list.
That's exactly what I was like. The set list was amazing. First of all, they played The Pass, which is one of my favorite songs off of my favorite Rush album, and they had only played it, I think, once before already. I mean, so. They're young. They're young into the tour. It's very early days into the tour, but they'd only played it once. They played that. But they had either been, and most of you know this if you've been following the tour, they had either been playing 2112 in its entirety, and I mean the song 2112, not the whole album, but the song 2112 parts 1 through 7. And if they did that, they played a couple of songs from Moving Pictures. If they played Moving Pictures in its entirety, they played 1, 2, and 7 from those 3 movements from the 2112. Well, they did us a real solid. They played 2112 in its entirety. They did the tribute to Neil with Time Stand Still, and then they played the entire Moving Pictures album all the way through. And so, we were the first group. We were the first group on this tour to get the entirety of 2112 and the entirety of Moving Pictures. And so some people were like, oh, well, I love Moving Pictures and I love 2012, but man, I would have liked to have seen some stuff like Distant Early Warning, and I would have liked to have seen Dreamline. I get it. I understand it.
Sure.
But if they're going to play entire albums for you or an entire concepts for you, what better album in their catalog than Moving Pictures?
Well, in one of the discussions this week, I compared it to pizza. Rush is like pizza. Doesn't really matter what's on it because it's pizza.
It's pizza. Exactly. I mean, I've told people this. I was like, you know what? They could play Jimmy Crack Corn for 2 hours. And if it was Rush up there, I'd be like, it's Rush playing Jimmy Crack Corn. So I'll go up there and watch Rush play Jimmy Crack. I mean, I'm with you. I mean, there can be no bad Rush, and there wasn't. And it was amazing. It was amazing. Geddy has completely recovered. He sounded fantastic. Annika, I'm going to talk a little bit about her. Okay.
I have a question before we're going to get into Annika right now.
Okay.
In the new seats, were you able to see her? Because there's a limited number of seats in the venue where you can actually see her because of the way she has her cymbals placed.
Yeah, I was able to see her pretty good.
Yeah, so I figured from that angle, there's a viewing port where you can.
I had a really good shot of her. I was at just the perfect angle for her. I'm gonna tell you this. Being a drummer who I am, first of all, I deeply appreciate her playing. She is absolutely wonderful, and she does, by and large, give the right reverence to Neil in the way she plays the parts while adding her own flair to them. But I'm going to tell you, having seen her live now, there are a couple of songs that really doesn't work that well for me.
Okay.
And YYZ was one of them. She plays it her way, which is okay. But there are a ton of fills in YYZ where if you're an air drummer or a drummer who knows the fill, you're like, okay, here comes that fill. And then it wasn't there. And she does that a bunch on YYZ. And I'm trying to remember the other song she did it on. There were a couple of songs where like she really was not playing at all what Neil wrote. And that's okay. I want her, in the end of the day, I want her up there with her confidence in her playing. And I want her, servicing the song properly and giving it the proper feel. And if it's not compositionally exactly the way Neil wrote it, then that's okay. That's fine. But there are going to be people, and there are people that are upset at the fact that like there were a lot of fills that she just did not play. A lot of ways. One of the things, and I'm real good at it because this is how I grew up playing and learning. Neil does a lot of the choking, where he hits the hi-hat like that. She doesn't do that very often at all. And I can tell she's really not very comfortable doing that because there are a lot of fills that involve that, and she didn't do any of them. I mean, she just doesn't. She's a prog fusion drummer. And so she has a different style. Now, that being said, I'm going to say two things. Even though she did not play a lot of those parts very true to the way Neil wrote them, she still played the song well enough that she held the song well. And then here's my biggest compliment for her. She has completely rejuvenated Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson. They are having an absolute blast up on that stage. They look like teenagers running around up there. They are smiling and laughing at each other and laughing at her, and she's laughing at them. And I don't know that there is another drummer that could have brought that type of resilience to them. It is infectious and has rubbed off on them. And I'm also going to say a moment for the unsung hero Lauren Gold. That guy played marvelously well, and he is so far in the background you don't even know that he's there. And it's and I say that and that's a good thing. I mean, he doesn't want to be in the limelight. He knows what his role is. I'm there to make it easier for them to do what they're doing out front, and they don't have to worry about 8,000 pedals that they're hitting and when do they hit this and when do they hit that. And Geddy still played, he played da 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 da. He played all that. He played subdivisions. He played all the real important parts. Xanadu. He did a lot of stuff in that. So he played when he needed to, the most important things you would expect him to play. But all of the ambiance and the other stuff that they would usually be doing with pedals, Lauren handled it masterfully.
Well, and there's a couple of points too. Particularly, one jumps to mind is La Via Strangiato.
Yeah.
Lauren adds quite a bit to that
Mhm.
in the extended intro. He adds chording that really sort of, puts a new spin on it. There's some organ parts through the song that were not apparent before that are now. And so, yeah, I would totally agree with you there. I think it's gone a long way towards, look, Geddy and Alex are in their 70s. Okay. I think having Neil in the band right now, the way Neil used to play, might wear him out a little bit.
Yeah.
Annika's style has a more flowing quality to it.
I agree with that.
Neil's style was very rigid and very, I mean,
Militaristic almost.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
And the other thing about Neil too is that I've been close up in the room with a bunch of drummers in my life. Both Phil Ahart and Neil Peart hit those damn drums like they owed him money. Even after Neil evolved his style after studying with Fred Gruber, he still hit those damn drums. Those drums knew they had been hit.
Oh yeah.
No one hits before, since, or ever as hard as Neil Peart. Neil was always smacking with authority is the word I like to use.
I agree with that.
Not that Annika is not working hard, because she is.
Oh no, and that was one of the things about her. She is powerful.
Her style has a more. I noticed it most on subdivisions. She's got. There's more swing, ironically, because what a fan Neil was of working very consciously to integrate the jazz heroes that he had and that swing factor into everything Rush. But he just couldn't help himself but be such a rigid timekeeper, very powerful. That's the signature of that band. But I honestly think that the relaxed feel has helped with Geddy and Alex to help them to adjust their older hands and their older mentalities to things, to the point where they're more relaxed and more comfortable with it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's just an outward impression.
Well, and it's what I noticed the most, and then I really noticed it when I get Annika right in front of me, and you see the prime difference between the two of them. And I do believe this is one of the real reasons they chose Annika, is that Neil was a compositional drummer. He wrote compositions. It is to be played this way every time. Annika is a much more freestyle, free flow. Has the ability to play the fusion and those things, but she wants to just let it flow and play it the way it hits her. Then Neil famously had problems with that. I mean, he admitted that it, as his never leave spontaneity to chance. That's one of the things he says,
Yeah.
That's I mean, and that's in the, at the show, they say that in one of his little things on his blurbs. And it's the truth. It's something that he struggled with, his, as he said, his yin and his yang. He said he wanted to be more free flowing, and he wanted to be more in the moment, but he also had that rigidity of the way I write this, and this is composed the way this is, and it needs to be played this way. And so his way of dealing with it was he tried to become more spontaneous in his soloing and that type of thing. He left sections open in the soloing where he could play whatever he wanted in whatever way he wanted, and that was his way of dealing with it. She doesn't have that problem. She is not a compositional drummer. She is a free flowing, more freestyle. And that's not to say she doesn't write parts that she can play the same way every time, but that's not the most important thing to her. And it very clearly was to Neil. So that is a big, big, big difference in the way they play. And it's noticeable when you go see them. But does it ruin it? Does it lessen it? No, not at all. It's still Rush. They sound amazing. Vital Signs was just one of the highlights of the night. Oh my God, it was so good.
Now that leads me to a question I had for you.
All right, what's your question?
Now that you have actually seen them in front of your naked, steaming eyes, and not just on a little YouTube video with crappy audio and whatnot, was there a moment or a song during the evening that, while they were playing it, it was something that maybe you didn't like as much before, and now you've decided you like it better. Did she convince you at any point? Was her approach at any point during this show that you saw, did you say to yourself, man, I didn't really used to like that, but now I kind of like that? And I'm
Well,
not talking about just the drum approach. I'm talking about, did she elevate the music that she was playing in that particular moment to a point where you changed your mind? After our little show with Scott Lade about topographic oceans the other day, I'm all full of angles about, changing your mind about something I
sure.
mean, is there maybe a song you were a little wishy-washy on before and you heard her play it and you went,
Well,
hmm,
the problem for me is I don't have a single Rush song I don't love.
that's why
So
I'm asking you this
right.
question.
So it's really hard for me to go, well, I didn't like that way, but now I do. No, I like it all. I will tell you a song that they played that had a different feel to it that I really, really loved, and that is La Via Strangiato. The way she played La Via Strangiato, and I'm focusing on the drums because the drums in that, they are almost built in design. That song is almost built in design for a prog fusion drummer. It
Yep,
really is.
it
It's
really
all
is.
over the
Yep.
place. She nailed that one. And I'm not talking about nailed his part, although she did play a lot of the stuff that he played, and she played it fairly close to the way he played it.
Mhm.
She just That's her wheelhouse. That type of feel is her wheelhouse, and you can tell. And so their version of La Via Strangiato with her playing was absolutely astoundingly good. And then I had already just mentioned this, but her Vital Signs, she played that one pretty close to the way Neil played it, but there was just something about it. It, I don't know. I can't give a voice to it. It just worked. It felt so good.
Mhm.
It translated so well live. And I've heard, I think, Vital Signs once or twice before because I saw them when they did the moving pictures in its entirety tour. So I saw them play it,
Right.
but there was just something about the way they played it. And then the camera eye, oh, it sounded so good. Witch Hunt was amazing. Witch Hunt was fantastic. I mean, I can go on and on and on about it. It was just I don't know. I can tell you there was a little bit of a flub, believe it or not. I think it was in Oracle the Dream when he goes, I stand up a spiraled stair. That section. They kind of got off there a little bit, one of them didn't come in on time, and then they all came in kind of right on top of each other, but it wasn't locked in. I remember looking, and Annika's looking, and she's just like laughing, like she was just like, okay, oh good God, and they didn't make a big deal out of it. They didn't train wreck it. They just whoops. And I thought that was so great. It was such a human moment.
Well, as a voluminous consumer of Rush bootlegs over the years, I think I've heard probably 300 or 400 of them, and I own at least half that many
Right.
stashed away in various places. And there are some pretty bad boners on a number of those
Oh yeah.
recordings.
Oh yeah.
It's look, the thing that separates the men from the boys, well, the men and Annika, is not necessarily that there are going to be flubs, because there are going to be. It's
Mhm.
how they maneuver
How do
their
you
way out of
how
it.
do you deal with them?
Very
Exactly.
famously on opening night, she dropped a stick in the middle of one of the early fills in Xanadu and didn't miss a beat.
That's
The
right.
stick was tumbling through the fill, and she somehow managed to get her hand back
Yeah,
on
I
it.
remember that.
I've rewatched that moment at least 20 times. That was the moment I fell in love with her
And
because,
then if I remember right, she's laughing about it. She's
yeah,
just like,
she's
yeah,
got at least the entire drumming world looking at her in that moment, if not
yep.
a vast quantity of rock fans all over the world. And she fumbles that stick, and Getty's looking at her, and she's going, "Okay, I made it."
Yeah, she's very composed up there,
Yeah.
and very in command of where she is,
Hmm.
and it's very confident, and that comes through in the when you see her play. There's no hesitancy or, oh God, I hope I get this right. I mean, she's diving in straight in and doing it her thing and doing it her way, and she owns it, and she plays it very well. And
They're only what, 12 shows into the tour? Is that something in that?
9, 10, 10, 9,
10?
11 after last night. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an 88 show tour as it stands today. I'm really curious, everything being equal, God willing, and the creek don't rise. I'm really interested to hear how she develops in show 50 and 60 and
Yeah.
70.
Well, what I'm actually really interested to hear is I hope after listening to this, I really hope they write a new album with her. I would really love to see a Rush song with her sensibility on the drums
Mhm.
for the compositional aspect of it. What would she do to the songs they write? How would she play it? I'm fascinated to see some original material with her at the helm of the drums. I'm fascinated by the concept of that. But I'm going to tell you my one takeaway from this, if I can, and this is aimed at you too. Go see them if you have the opportunity, because almost everyone I met and talked to who had been on the fence, and there were a lot that had been on the fence but decided, oh my God, this was the best last minute decision I've ever made. Oh my
Mhm.
God, I can't believe I almost missed this. Oh my God, I can't believe I was thinking about not going to this. And I mean, everyone that we were talking to was just like, holy crap, I had to think that I had thought about not going to see this. Now, if they're somewhere like you live in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and the closest place they are is 12 hours away from you, I get it if you can't go. But if they're in your area near you and you have the means, and obviously I'm talking about if you have the means, don't go spend your rent money on a ticket if you can't afford the rent. If once you buy the ticket, don't do that. But if you can find an affordable ticket, go see this show. It is
Well,
just amazing.
we are not independently wealthy. We're not poor either.
Right.
For me, my fondness and desire to go, unfortunately, in my own personal case, has to be weighed against Mythologic
Sure, I
because
get it. I get it.
I have to come up with a budget for this next record. As you well know, I'm making sacrifices
Yes, you are.
to see that the pieces are in place, so this record can be better than anything that we've done before. So yeah,
The other
that
good news I will say as an addendum to that is if you don't go see them, take heart because I'm quite certain they're going to have a DVD of this.
well,
They can't not.
that's why those high def cameras are at every show. I think very wisely. They are. I don't think they're going to use just one show for
Oh
any
no,
sort of presentation. They're
no,
going to take, and I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine with that. That allows them. I mean, it makes the task a bit more gargantuan to sift through all the stuff,
sure.
but I'm sure they have people, if not Getty himself, taking notes along the way, saying, "Okay, that song that particular night, that was a killer. Let's put a check next to that. Okay, that one didn't work out so well, and etc." So I'm sure there's a process that's going to play into all of that.
Yeah.
So
And then, of course, just ancillary things I need to think while I'm talking about it. They were hilarious. Like he got Alex to talk. Alex is like, "Hey, everybody, we're here again." Feels like we've been here for what 6 years. Everybody started laughing, because they've been back and forth and here and there, and I don't know
right.
where. He played off the whole, and Getty, oh, hello, 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 hello. I feel like I owe y'all like 20 hellos because thank you guys so much for coming back, and they were so graceful and they were so apologetic about having to reschedule everything, and so thankful that we were all there. And then my cry moments, which I cried like a baby during the Neil Peart tributes, especially during the first one. The first one is when they play Bravado, and
Hmm.
the entire time they're playing Bravado, it is a menagerie of shots of Neil. And my buddy turned around and looked at me, and he had to put his hand on my shoulder because I was in openly
Hmm.
weeping.
I'm
And
sure you
then
weren't alone.
no, there were other people, and it was very, very moving and very touching. And all night they talked about, what he meant to them and how important he was and how it's a night for him. And I appreciate that he meant enough to them. And of course he did, that they didn't ever let that get lost in what they were doing,
Right, right.
and it was a beautiful night. It's a great concert. They are in top form. Getty, I'm talking about, sounds light years better than he did on R40. I mean, I there were a couple times my friend Ryan looked at me and was like, God dang, he sounds good. I'm like, yeah. I mean, like it took us by surprise how good he sounded.
I think
You
he's
know?
probably sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber or
That, and I'm
something.
sure he has a vocal coach. I'm pretty
Oh
sure,
yeah, I know who he is.
and
Yeah,
and he's watching what he eats. And I think he has it arranged that on his off days he doesn't do much and doesn't say much. I
right.
think he's resting his voice completely and saving it all for when he sings.
And that's wise.
So
Sure.
it's yeah, and it's obvious. It's markedly better than the R40 was.
My you were
So
talking about Chicago. My good friend Mark Case went to the show last night, the opening show in Chicago, and was echoing pretty much everything you said. Now, we've not mentioned Mark on this show before. I'd like to have him as a guest in the future sometime because he has a bit of a Rush connection. He worked at Gibson for several decades and was responsible for handling Alex when he would come to the factory to sign limited edition runs of, custom shop instruments. And he was the guy who helped to deliver Alex's personal double neck to him at the first show of the R40 tour
oh,
in
that's
in
cool.
Oklahoma. And Mark over the years gathered up some very important memorabilia for me, including a couple of pieces of paper that
You
Alex
told me
scribbled
about this.
on, and I've
The,
got them
the
framed.
doodle sheet where Alex was
Yeah,
doodling. Yeah, I remember you
yeah.
talking about that.
He knows what a rush nut that I am, and he saved all that stuff for me. And my
That's
wife,
awesome.
my wife mounted it for me.
Yeah, that's
But
awesome.
I'd like to have Mark on in the future because he's got some Alex stories apparently.
Oh, I'm sure I would love to hear him. I would love to.
Yeah, yeah, and plus Mark is just a fascinating guy. He's a fantastic musician and songwriter, and a really, really nice fellow, and lots of great stories to tell. So we'll probably have him on at
Cool,
some
man.
point in the near future.
One last thing I want to mention: if you go to the show and you are a merch person like I am, be prepared to spend some money on the merch. It ain't cheap, but it's
Yeah.
there, and they have good quality, lots of different hats, lots of really cool shirts. The tour book is really nice, and the tour
Mm-hmm.
book, for those of you who don't know, most of you, everybody would remember that the tour book was usually pictures of the previous tour,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, okay, it's going to be that way because they are all the pictures in the tour book must be from Los Angeles because it's all the modern. It's them. It's not from R40.
Wow,
Oh
that's
yeah.
impressive.
Yes, it is impressive. And the intro of the book, the main section, is written by Getty,
Mm-hmm.
and he actually pays tribute to the fact that Neil always used to write it and was so good at it, and so the task has fallen to Getty, and he's going to do the best he can, and he does a good job. It's well written, and then there is a beautiful in memoriam page from where Neil is on one side of the book, and the other side is a note from Olivia, his daughter, and then a note from Carrie, his wife, and
Mm-hmm.
that'll mist up your eyes when you're reading it. So it's a beautifully presented book, and it's very very worth having if you're one of those who likes those types of things like I do. I have all of the books from all the tours I've been to. So their merch is really really good, but it's pricey as people knew it would be. So
Yeah.
yeah, but overall, just fantastic. If you can afford to go and have the money to go do it, go do it. Obviously, if you have other things you need to spend on, that's that. Be take heart that a DVD is probably in the offing when this is
Yeah,
over with.
yeah, I would think so. Cause their packages are really well put together, and
They truly are.
yeah,
So
I've got every single one they've ever done, and I love most
their
of them.
production is amazing too. The screens on the back are super ultra crystal clear, and their stuff's awesome on them. They have really cool backgrounds, and then when they're on there, the screens are just beautiful. They're just beautiful, and
Yeah,
it's a huge screen. It takes up the entire back, so it really helps immerse you in the whole experience when you're looking at the screen with them playing in front of it. There's pyrotechnics galore. It's just a great production. It's just fantastic. It's very worth going to if you can go. So
yeah,
and
yeah.
I had a
Well,
great time. And if I could go again, I would. I'm probably not going to be able to because of the cost and because of where they're going. But I'm glad I got to go. I'm glad I got to see them again, and I'll see them if they go on tour again. And I'll definitely go try to check them out at the Sphere if that's where they end up. So
yeah, that should be interesting. That should be really interesting.
so that's
All
my
right.
that's my Rush tour story for the 50 something.
There you have it, friends. Mistopher Christopher's tale of woe and triumph.
Whoa, and triumph.
Yeah.
Perfect way to put it, actually.
Yeah, we've been trying to coordinate time to get together and tell this tale, and finally got around to it. So
Yeah, I'm glad we did.
appreciate those of you who've been waiting and messaging me. I appreciate your indulgence in waiting for that. So things on the horizon. We've got some things bubbling.
Yeah, we do.
Some topics just for the two of us, and some guests that we're talking about and thinking about, and
Lots of stuff coming down the pipe. Good stuff.
Yeah. So
some non-prog stuff as we get into the fall.
Yep.
Not everything's going to be prog. I think we'll end up doing probably in October a good episode on horror movies and stuff like that.
Yep, friends, this is not just about prog music. That's going to be a primary thrust of the show, but Chris and I have many common interests. As he said, horror movies, British comedy, MASH. Oh my God, there's going to be a MASH episode at some point.
We got to do a MASH episode.
Each of us, for those of you who don't know, we'll just go ahead and share it with the world. We both adore MASH. I watch at least one episode every single day.
Yeah. It is a standard SOP for me. Standard to have lunch here while I watch a MASH episode as I'm eating whatever I'm eating.
It's one of the few flawless shows that I can remember.
There's a few episodes I can do without, but by and large, that thing ran for 11 years, and it was 11 years of greatness. So.
Yeah. I love that show. So there are things aplenty. We have a show we're going to do about favorite books.
Yep.
I just finished Sting's book, Broken Music, which is, like 15 years old now at this point, but that was an excellent read.
There's a new Stephen King book coming out. It's part 3 of The Talisman, Stephen King and Peter Straub.
Oh, okay.
Peter Straub, who died several years ago, but had already kind of helped formulate what the book was going to be, and King finished writing it. It's coming out. And if you're a big fan of Stephen King, and particularly if you like the story of The Talisman, which is The Talisman was part 1 and Black House was part 2. This is going to be Other Worlds Than These, and that is part 3 of The Talisman. That is releasing this year.
Okay.
And, also a good friend of mine. Well, not a good friend of mine, but I know him. I've talked to him before. His name is Richard Chismar. He has a book called The Catching the Boogeyman, or Becoming the Boogeyman, Catching the Boogeyman, and Killing the Boogeyman. Killing the Boogeyman is part 3, and it will be out in October also. And those are 3. The 2 of the 3 I've already read. They're fantastic. So I'm imagining the 3rd one will be great too. Okay. So lots of stuff to talk about in that regard.
Oh yeah, there's so many great horror films coming out too. There's a lot of good stuff.
Oh dude, yeah, so many coming. So many that already have, and then even more coming this.
Those are going to be interesting discussions, I think, because I'm much more selective in my horror fandom. There are certain the slasher stuff I could just take or leave. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Some of that in there, man. You got to have some of that in there.
Well, I adore the Hellraiser stuff, and that's kind of slasher, but there's a psychological component to those movies, and they're just macabre and scary.
Yes,
and
that's true. There are slashers that are simply there for gore's sake, and I understand that.
One of the scariest movies I've ever seen is Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter's film about scientists discovering Satan himself, honestly.
Right.
That was one of those movies I was at the end of it. I was like, Jesus, it was only a movie. Thank God. I mean, it's so absorbing and involving. You really get into it,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff we're going to be talking about as the months go on.
Yeah. Well, friends, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Long Tracks and Tall Tales. I have been and continue to be, like it or not, Scott G. Davis from Myth of Logic. My compadre, Mistopher Christopher M. Clark, drummer of Myth of Logic, soon to start earning his bread in that capacity.
Yep, coming this fall.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you want to know anything about us, we're out there. Myth of Logic is everywhere, Instagram and Facebook and all of that. Go to Christopher's Facebook page and subscribe to his album of the day. It's always informative, always a welcome addition to the day. I usually like to see that, and sends me off on some sort of earworm tangent for the day. So it's really nice.
I've had some really good feedback of late of people who've been like, man, I look at your stuff every day because you're always introducing me to things I didn't know existed.
Yeah.
That's good. That's what I like.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the aim of this show in general is, anybody can talk about Genesis every single day,
Right.
and I would happily do that. But, we want to talk about a lot of things.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, friends, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you did not regret it.
If
And
you did,
hopefully,
it's too late now.
hopefully you've watched long enough to trigger the algorithm gods.
Oh, please, algorithm God, please. We can't figure you out. We can't figure you out.
Oh, well, I it's one of those mysteries. We're not meant to know the answers, I guess. So,
right.
Anyway, Chris, thanks for always being here and your wonderful story today. A particularly good episode, I think. And friends, until we're together again, be good to one another.